Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin the board meeting, we will have the public hearing on the proposed Harwood TOD tax incremental financing district. Roll call, Ms. Flores.
Trustee Harris. Here. Trustee Willis. Here. Trustee Heitman.
Here. Here. Here.
Trustee Roman. Here. President Holfield.
Here. The purpose of this evening's public hearing is for the continuance of the proposed Harwood TOD tax increment financing district of February 10th, 2026. Anything bad? No, sir. Any comments from the public? Yes, ma'am. Please identify yourself.
I'm a senior citizen that lives in the area, and I first of all, thank you very much for these meetings. I'd like you to make sure that there's two things on my concern. When I was here several months ago, I asked you to please publish all the items in the HF Chronicle, so the people, the residents of this wonderful HF.
Ma'am, this is the public hearing on the TIF.
Well, I understand that, but I'm just gonna say one thing. I asked you to this is TIF oriented. If you would keep the people involved, they would know what they're supposed to do. Have the TIF evaluated by people that know what they're doing other than what the board stated. If you're gonna have somebody protect the property values, please have somebody work for the village of and corresponding will work with Flossmoor. When you have somebody other than just picking their people, they're not giving a fair assessment of the property. That's the first thing. The second thing is the 4 to 3. Protect the children when they're.
Ma'am, this is the public hearing on the TIF.
Okay, well, the public hearing on the TIF, please understand, just for the safety of the children, consider the 4 to 3. All right,
Yeah.
and if you're gonna do the TIF, do it purely in public newspaper. Don't forget about us.
Are there any public comments with regard to this proposal? If not, comments from the board. Trustee Harris Jones. Trustee Willis. Trustee Heisselman. Trustee Simpson. No, sir. Trustee Mason. No, sir. Trustee Roman. May I have a motion to approve resolution 3230 for the continuance of this TIF? So moved. Been moved by trustee Mason, seconded by trustee Heiferman. Roll call, please.
Trustee Harris Jones. Aye. Trustee Willis. Aye. Trustee Heitman. Aye. Trustee Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman. Aye.
Resolution is approved. May I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing, please? So moved. Been moved by trustee Mason, seconded by trustee Harris Jones. Roll call, please.
Trustee Harris Jones. Aye. Trustee Willis. Aye. Trustee Heitman.
Aye.
Trustee Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman. Aye.
Public hearing is adjourned. Welcome to the village board meeting of August 12th. Please join us in our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Ms. Flores.
Harris Jones. Here. Trustee Willis. Here. Trustee Heitman.
Here.
Trustee Simpson.
Here. Here.
Here. President Holfield.
Here. Representing staff this evening, to my left, our village manager Napoleon Haney, to my right, our village attorney Chris Cummings, to the audience's right, our police chief Denise McGrath, economic and community development director Angela Maceras, public works director Josh Berman, and assistant village manager Terrence Aqua. The minutes of July 22nd, any additions or corrections? Trustee Harris Jones? Trustee Willis? Trustee Heiferman? None. Trustee Simpson? None, sir. Trustee Mason? No, sir. Trustee Roman?
No.
May I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
Second.
Been moved by trustee Harris excuse me, trustee Willis, seconded by trustee Simpson. Roll call, please.
Trustee Harris Jones. Aye. Aye. Trustee Heitman.
Aye.
Trustee Simpson.
Aye.
Trustee Mason.
Aye.
Trustee Roman. Aye.
The minutes are approved. The claims list in the amount of $1,608,871.76. Comments or questions, trustee Harris Jones? Trustee Willard? Trustee Heitman?
Answer.
Trustee Simpson?
Questions answered.
Trustee Mason?
No, sir.
Trustee Roman? May I have a motion to approve the claims list, please?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Mason. Roll call, please.
Aye. Trustee Lewis. Aye. Trustee Heckman.
Aye.
Trustee Zenger.
Aye.
Trustee Mason. Aye.
The claims list is approved. Of that $1,600,000 claims list, 3 items comprise the majority of that list. The first is our payment to the state of Illinois for their share of ambulance fees that were collected. That was $450,000. 1 month's employees' health insurance, $294,000, and water plant 1 upgrades were $408,000. That amounted to $1,152,000, or 72% of that claims list. Hear from the audience. If anyone would like to address the board on any subject not on the agenda, please raise your hand. Mr. Landry? You're a regular.
Board, please speak louder. You can't be heard. Thank you.
For the record, DOYLELAND as in David Y, Marine Corps veteran. So the bottom cannot fix it, will not. And it didn't start yesterday and we'll hopefully now jobs. Because people who work, or specifically young Black males work. Again. In Homewood who need to employ those who are thinking about police officers. See, I say this as a Marine Corps veteran, that if people want to do it correctly, they should enlist. But at the end of the day, you all who make, talk about aftermath, the part about it. At the end of the day, look like that would be true. One more true, because I will be here on 26th. That's your next meeting. You all know how I feel about birthdays, and on the 23rd belongs to this birthday. But
Anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? Yes, ma'am.
Please be advised, I would just respectfully request that you consider the 4+3 option for the children that are going to school, for the safety of the children, the property values, and most of all, the safety of the children that cross that busy street. Yes, the police patrol it, yes, the police watch it. Yes, there's crossing guards, but the safety of the children are paramount. So it's easier to make it 43 for the safety of the children as well as the property values are important as well. But nobody wants to take that is paramount, and they're gonna be walking that busy street, and people drive down that street without any careful planning. They just drive like they're maniacs. That's the first thing. The second thing, I'd like you to carefully think about this TIF organization, or this TIF, whatever you're gonna proposal, and I'm glad it's being earmarked for the 10th of February, and I will keep my comments short. Just please have somebody properly evaluate those buildings. And remember something, those buildings have been sitting vacant for 40 years. All of a sudden, you're going to make them TIF when you have to pick more than one contractor that doesn't have his own interests at heart. Pick somebody at the village that has the village consent of helping the village of Homewood, not the contractor. TIF does not help the Homewood village, it helps the contractor. He's the amount of person that's gonna make the most amount of money and it's gonna ruin the property values. Think about that fact that you are all in a lovely age, but this is gonna be Homewood for the next 20, 30 years. Do you want your property values ruined? Just consider the fact. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board this evening? Yes, ma'am. Take that one. Yes. For the record, your name, please.
Good evening, members of the board and everyone here present. My name is Yana Radovich Franca. I'm a Homewood resident of 6 years. I live on 183rd Street. And I'm very excited to see the momentum and to bring visibility to making 183rd Street safer. I will not forget summer of 2020, when in front of our house, there was a fatal accident on 183rd and Center. We've had a few other many other accidents between since then. Just this past May, there was another collision on 183rd and Hood between a motorcycle and a car that also the other end of my block that resulted in a death. The road diet was a welcome reprieve for when we left and arrived at home. We could get into our driveway I could get into our driveway without cars honking behind me as I would slow down to pull into the driveway. When driving from the lane opposite to where my house is, I could safely enter the turning lane. And I didn't worry about someone hitting me from behind because they would quickly switch lanes in order to not slow down. Traffic was at the speed limit, maybe slightly higher, maybe slightly above it. I could garden with my kids in my front lawn. The flow was slower and it was safer. There is concern, I understand, by many Homewood residents for slower traffic and more congestion. Personally, that is outweighed by the concerns for safety and the lives that have been lost and that could potentially be saved. I urge the village board to seriously consider moving forward with the road diet, with the studies, with approved plans, and using all the information and evidence that is available. Studies show that there is a reduction in accidents, there's an easier flow for emergency vehicles, and there are safer roads for drivers and residents. We don't understand why why elected officials are not. We do know that when there is used as a corridor by many people, residents of Homewood and of neighboring communities. And I ask him to myself, my family, and my neighbors to make a safer road, a safer street for us to travel on. And I hope that this is part of moving this forward.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to do?
Hi, everyone. My name is Marco Bendalini, and I live on 153rd Street. A month ago, a month and a half ago, I was backing up from my driveway because my driveway straight is a lot of driveway of other people living on 183rd. And I was backing up. I looked at the light at the intersection and it was red. So I started coming up the driveway, and all of a sudden there was an orange Challenger accelerating and coming right, pressing the red, accelerating, right, and he didn't even swerve, nothing. I wasn't prompt in turning on my way and getting back in the driveway. I would be here today. And as for me, I think it's the case for many of my neighbors as well. It could happen to them. It could happen to anyone on that street. The cars that are a bit what in the it's explained. There are cars that the drivers don't care about anyone on the street. It's the children of the school. That's what I have to say.
Just a minute, sir. Chris, did you?
Good evening. My name is Ashley Jose. Thank you to the trustees for granting us some time to speak tonight. I am here as a resident of Homewood and a resident of 183rd, just like everybody else there in the back. I will be very brief, just a quick personal story and maybe a unique perspective as a brand new resident of Homewood. So me and my wife moved to Homewood last April, and she's waiting there. We moved from the city of Chicago to live there for about 15 years. And we looked at a number of different suburbs in the south and the west suburbs, Berwyn, LaGrange. But when we saw Homewood for the first time, we felt a really nice connection with it. The diversity, the downtown area, the people and community in general. But one thing that made us pause was 183rd Street. This kind of 4-lane, when you first encounter it, it seems kind of out of place with the amount of driveways that back into it and the residential feel of that area overall. And then the speed of the cars. So as we debated to move, that was the one thing we kept on coming back to. Our realtor did some research and told us about the plans to go from 4 to 3. She had found that the plan had been researched and approved, and that was the tipping point that made us decide to come to your community. And we've loved it, but at this point, I think like my fellow residents of 183rd, we're looking to just take the next step and follow through on those plans. That's all. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Christine Condon, Evergreen Road, and with apologies to Village Manager Haney, I may have misunderstood when a public comment goes into the board packet. So if I've misunderstood that, this is being presented twice, but it's for the record for everyone else. The most recent spate of gunfire on Olive Road, which resulted in public comment for your consideration at the July 22nd board meeting, should not only be a cause for concern, it is an opportunity for this board to engage with village residents in a solution-oriented town hall meeting to provide a standing board agenda item on the village's progress, which I believe is any pending criminal investigation. So yes, I am once again advocating that you host a town hall meeting, a committee of the whole, a listening tour, a pop-up forum. The issue isn't how you name it. The issue is that you hold it. I was at the July 2nd board meeting, and thank you to the village president for the statement that the police chief will receive any and all support she needs. And thank you to the trustees who also were unified in their support of law enforcement. However, I ask you to consider that when 50 residents convened at James Park School for a neighborhood watch meeting on the heels of Olive Road, and then what happened last night and this morning, you have an untapped community-oriented policing resource. You have a neighborhood that wishes to partner with village government, law enforcement, and other neighborhoods to keep this fabulous community safe for everyone. A town hall meeting can be a constructive, solution-oriented approach to a problem that affects us all. There's a Society of Human Resource Management study that found respondents believe town hall face-to-face communications build high trust, they're more personal than strictly e-communication, and they reduce confusion and misunderstanding. And additionally, a Center for Effective Lawmaking studies show that legislative offices are twice as likely to positively respond to town hall events if the event focuses on learning from constituents as opposed to justifying an administrative position. So the village has surveyed residents on topics of interest for future pop-up forums. And again, what you call it is not the issue. Now's the time for this body to support and enhance community-oriented policing strategies. Even a fully staffed law enforcement team just can't be everywhere at once. And we only make progress if we support law enforcement in those efforts. You have a community of engaged, concerned citizens who are ready and willing to keep Homewood the safe, vibrant, secure community that brought all of us here in the first place. And I ask that you help us to help you continue this effort. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jen. I live on 183rd Street. And I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what it is like to live on 183rd Street. I've lived there essentially my whole life. I bought my grandmother's house. So since 1981, I've been in that house one way, shape, or another, pretty much. 183rd was never meant to be a thoroughfare. I know that the original plans were that another street was going to be behind 183rd Street, essentially between 183rd and Olive. Because it is a residential street, it was never intended to be this four-lane highway that it is unfortunately become. I feel like once COVID kind of hit, that is when things went ballistic on that street. It never seemed to be as bad as it is, I would say, since about 2020 to now. I home office, I look at 183rd Street all day. So I see everything that happens. I see the kids walking to Hart. And where I live on 183rd Street, there is no easement between me and the street. The sidewalk is on the street. I see these kids walk and I see these cars and the semis go by that the kids actually sway because of the draft or whatever that is created. The mail carriers, these poor folks, I watch them in the winter when the snow plows have, of course, well, you know, they put the snow off the side, which goes onto the sidewalks, which now create knee-high, if not taller, tiles that we cannot, as residents, shovel. Then the mail carriers cannot get to our mailboxes. So they're walking on the street or having to walk all the way up into our yards, which of course they try not to do, to deliver the mail, or they just don't deliver the mail, which I would prefer they didn't. I don't want them to put my, you know, their life at risk to give me a flyer. Walking your dog, terrifying. You have your dog on a leash and the sidewalk is so narrow because where I live right next to the Jewish temple. The poles are in the sidewalk. So at some point, the sidewalk gets even smaller because you're going around the light pole. You can't ride your bike on that area because again, it's so small, the handles don't go by. You're terrified of the cars and the draft. I also have a new driver in my house. I have a 17-year-old that just got her license last year. Terrible pulling in and out of that driveway. And I'm fortunate that I at least have a turnaround that she can get herself to go front way out of my driveway. Trying to judge when you've got two lanes of traffic, one guy's going a normal speed, another guy's going 70 miles an hour trying to pull out and they're changing lanes on you when you're just trying to pull out of your driveway. She was terrified to learn how to drive. Like it literally took me 6 months to get her to even want to use her permit. Her friends don't want to come to the house because of this. They're afraid to pull in and out as they are also new drivers. Their parents don't want them to do this.
Could you just wrap it up? Your
Oh, absolutely. And also the drag racing on the streets, so bad because of how wide it is. And I do see the police at the temple giving tickets. There's too many cars for one cop to be able to get 24/7. It's unfortunately just not a solution for ticketing. So I think making it smaller would just make it naturally a shorter area for them to be able to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Just so you know, we have a 3-minute time limit for comments, so. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Aurora. Thank you for the time. So I've been a resident of Homewood since 2013. I moved here as a baby of 22. We bought our house back then. I live on 183rd. Luckily, our driveway louder. Okay, maybe I'll get closer. Our driveway is actually off of Gottschalk, so we're lucky we're pretty safe getting out of there. However, as I grow older and wiser and get more involved in the community and like more observant, I'm starting just to see more and more how dangerous 183rd is. I'm constantly seeing my neighbor who has 2 young kids pulling out of her driveway, and it just stresses me out to see how she has to basically like fly out of her driveway when she has like an open window. I had a neighbor who I would always love talking to when she walked by with her dog, and like now she has like another puppy and she's too scared to walk on the street because, you know, her puppy's young and excited, and but like people are just flying by. What else? And like since 2013, like I've seen, I mean, someone died like on that corner. We've had numerous accidents like right in front of our house turning onto Gottschalk, like literally like bumper cars, like someone waiting to turn and then someone crashed into that one and someone else crashed into that car. So there's 3 cars involved. And so I just really, I'm not much of a public speaker. I'm nervous to be up here, but this is very important for me. And the older I get, the more I love Homewood and the small town feel, but like observing all this stuff, like has just, it's been heartbreaking. And I would just really love to see some change to make everybody feel safer. I'd love to see more kids, more people walking on that street. And I really think changing the lanes down to 3 and adding the bike lanes and everything would make it more homey, the way Homewood has always felt. And also with like the choo-choo ride, good speed, and all the events that they coordinate, like I love this community and I would just love to see it be safer for everybody. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Good. Sean?
Hey, good evening. I'm Sean Straney from 18264 Regal. My wife and I have lived there for 32 years. Picture, if you can, Regal and 183rd. We live on the northwest corner of that intersection. Our kitchen faces west. And when cars are stopped at Regal and 183rd and the light turns green, they put the pedal to the metal and we can see them speeding heading west. And you can hear it too, just by the roar of the engine. Well, I would just say, let's give it a try. Maybe after a year, we'll think, oh, what a bad idea this was. And if that's the way it is, well, so be it. But let's give it a try. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Rochelle Schulte. Thank you for the time. I live, well, I lived 20 years on Burr Oak in Homewood, moved out to Georgia for a year, came back and bought a house on 183rd, right by Regal, like 4 doors down. And it has been the absolute worst experience. I was going to move but I came to the meetings last time and they said this was approved. And somehow it got changed and I don't understand how. And just this summer, this was traumatic for me, and thank God there were no children. I was pulling out of my driveway and I had to stop because someone, I don't know how fast they were going, well over 40, slammed into a baby kitten on 183rd. It flew up into the air, hit the pavement, and these cars just kept going over it. And I kept trying to run out there to at least pull it out of the street. And it was very traumatic. And it took a whole bunch of watching this poor kitten that was still alive. It just traumatized and it was terrible. And I finally got out there to get it. And it was, I just had to share that because this shouldn't happen in a hometown of Homewood, and having lived that world and having such good experience in this town, it tears me apart. So I had to share. Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Brendan Gore, Homewood resident, recent Homewood Civics Academy graduate. I do not live on 183rd, so I can't speak to the personal stories. But I am a data analyst and therefore a statistics nerd. I think it's important to tell both sides of the story, not just personal anecdotes, but also talk about the actual recorded data of what it means to do a road diet. This will be quick, I promise. So most of these data points come from the Federal Highway Administration. Road diets overall reduced from 4 lanes to 3, reduced crash rates by 19 to 47%. A study in 45 sites from California, Iowa, and Washington 30% crash reduction totals over the span of a year. Two different case studies, one from Reston, Virginia on Lawyers Road. Crashes were down 70% in the first 5 years of the road. In that same location of residents who were surveyed afterwards, 75% of them reported feeling safer. 69% of them saw no travel time increase, and 47% reported biking more. In Seattle, Washington, Stoneway Road, top speed violators, which is 10 miles per hour or more over the speed limit, decreased by 80%. Total collisions were down 15%. Injury collisions, 35% down. Pedestrian collisions, 80% down. Bicycle traffic was up by 35%. Parallel street traffic was down by 12 to 35%. Now, most suburbanites are worried about their travel time, and that's fair. In situations where road diets like these were implemented, travel time was affected only by 16 seconds per mile increase. I think all of the things I just listed off are worth 15 seconds of time. That safety trade-off is worth it. In terms of highway road capacity, in the Seattle example specifically, it showed unchanged capacity limits with no effect to the safety. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carol, and I came to Shelley and Sal. We live 5 and 6 houses from Regal 183rd, on 183rd North Side of the street. I'm not a good speaker, so bear with me here. Kids should not be riding bikes to school in the new bike lanes that are proposed. It's far too dangerous. If their heavy backpack shift, so does their bike. So bikers will be in danger of being hit by cars turning from driveways and cross streets as well. Drivers are going to get fed up with the slow traffic, and they're going to start passing using the center lane. This compounds hazardous driving. Drivers unfamiliar with 183rd will be driving in the bike lane, which is too narrow for a car. Many people currently ignore the bike lanes on Regal and Ridge, which are not a place where they should be. Drivers are going to tailgate even more than they do now. Snowplows must clear 183rd all the way to the curb because we cannot shovel by hand the entire bike lane at the end of each driveway. And traffic is going to back up at the street lights. It will be very difficult to enter and exit driveways like ours. Stopped cars at the light already block us in quite frequently. Drivers are going to get, I guess that's it. I vote nay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Chris Craddock. I'm a neighbor of many people who have spoken here today. I'm also a neighbor of Trustee Everman. I am in support of narrowing 183rd from 4 lanes to 3. There's been a lot of focus on the area either at the intersection of Regal or just past that towards Halsted, but I could tell you as someone who lives on Gottschalk that it is a problem there as well. It has gotten to a point where I cannot even make a left turn from Gottschalk on 183rd because of car speeding and low visibility there. I also think that with the proposed bike lanes, I think that is actually a good thing. Especially since we are focusing on putting more apartments in downtown and not having any stores for people to visit to get their necessary needs, such as a pharmacy. I think having a viable option for people to bike from downtown, where their apartments are, to some of our local stores is a great option. I would also say that one of the complaints that I've heard about narrowing the 183rd from 4 lanes to 3 lanes is that there'd be increased speeding on Ridge. As someone who lives in between Ridge and 183rd, I can tell you already right now that people already speed on Ridge. It is, I cannot see that getting any worse than it is right now. My daughter's best friend lives north of us across Ridge, and we can't even walk there because the speeding is so bad. I think speeding in general is a problem, but if we can reduce the amount of harm on 183rd by narrowing it from 4 lanes to 3, and also introducing bike lanes so people can get to and from downtown using their bikes instead of their cars, I think all of that is a good thing and outweighs the downsides to doing so.
Okay, thank you. Okay. We'll have. We have time for one more comment before the public session ends. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Talitha Irwin Edwards, and I've been living in Homewood for about a little bit over a decade. I know we're talking about 183rd, but I feel you're paying for the people who live on 183rd because I live on Dixie and 183rd. So I've seen our share of accidents at that intersection of Dixie and 183rd. And I know exactly what you all are going through because they use Dixie as a drag strip. Okay, and I'm sure all of you all have heard the popping of the muscle cars, and I can't even open my windows or put my grandchild to sleep because someone's gonna come by revving their engine. I do understand about pulling in and out of the driveway also. I got hit pulling into my own driveway. It was a, domino effect. Person behind me, the person behind them hit me. So one thing I know the highway is a federal, is it a historical?
State road.
Okay, so I know you're limited on what you may or may not be able to do on Dixie, but there is a child care center that just opened up. And I was speaking with her and she said her infants, she has infants up to 6 weeks. And she's trying to put them to sleep or anything like that, and they just rev their engine. Is there any way that we can implement some type of noise or speed reduction and I found that people really pay attention if you hit their pockets, they will pay attention. So that's just something I wanted to let you guys know.
Sure.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much. This concludes our public portion of the meeting. Now, Ms. Flores, the omnibus vote.
The board to consider a motion to pass, approve, authorize, accept, or award the following items. A, approve the reappointment of Philip Casanovich to the Economic Development Committee for a 2-year term ending on August 12, 2027. Item B, pass resolution R 3231 supporting a Class 8 Cook County real estate tax classification for the property at 17911 Harwood Avenue, owned by Beverly Spearman Firm LLC.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the audience with regard to these two matters? If not, board comments? Mr. Lewis, trustee Heitman, trustee Simpson, trustee.
No comments.
Trustee Roman. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
Second.
Then moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Mason. Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Consent agenda is approved. General board discussion. Trustee Harris Jones.
out and voicing your opinion about the road diet, all your concerns about safety for the children, for evidence. Yeah, absolutely. Your concerns are shared. We understand and we need a solution.
Let's hear from you.
Again, I thank everyone for coming. I'm with you. I can't wait for the day that I could ride a bike easily and safely from my house to Waltz. And I'm waiting for that. And that's what happened.
Trustee Simpson?
Appreciate everyone coming out. There's a lot of things to consider, a lot of data, a lot of other things to look at, and I'm sure that we're gonna come to a proper conclusion after looking at all possible avenues to resolve this matter and looking at all information. Appreciate everyone coming out.
Trustee Mason?
I ditto everything my colleagues have said. The safety of our residents, especially our children, is a priority. And I look forward to staff digging into this and presenting all the information possible so that we can make a thorough, thoughtful decision on this. Thank you guys so much for coming out and with them. They're our concern.
Yeah, I echo what everybody, thank you very much for coming, and I know for the people that have said that it's hard to come up here and give comments, I understand, and but we appreciate it, and we need to hear from you guys. Whoever spoke about their daughter who just turned 17 and doesn't want to pull out of the driveway. My best friend in high school, I went to HF, and my best friend in high school lived on 183rd, and that was a long time ago, and I was scared to pull in and out of her driveway. So, and I agree that the speeding and the driving has only gotten worse in the last couple of years. I think that I live on a side street, but it's next to a one-way street, and on my side street, people fly down the street, and this is one of my 3 kids, so I understand the concern. So I just want you to know you're heard. We hear what you have to say. Was anybody gonna mention like kind of where we're at from a village standpoint on this?
I can.
Okay,
We'll get
yeah,
to that.
just so we can get some information.
Sure, you want me to do that now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So staff, where do we leave this off? We left this off where the board made a conclusion, that we moved in the direction of this, road diet. The challenge came, we had a kickoff meeting. And we learned that because we would accept the funding, the $232,875, that came to some stipulations that the village would have to perform a fake. They wanted to get $165,000 to $170,000. So we were in the process of figuring that out. I don't know how much you guys have been following this, but we actually created a 5-year capital plan where this funding is in the capital plan. There's also funding in the capital plan for the traffic signal light at Center and 183rd Street. The unfortunate part is the capital plan is not currently funded. So we're working through that now, have a plan in place, working diligently for the past 3 months, 4 months, working on this capital plan. So that's where we are right now. So we plan to take all of this data from 2021, 2022, and 2023, bring it back to the board. We have a few board members that have never seen this. They joined the board in April, I believe. So we want to bring that back to the board, share the information, go through the metrics as Brendan said, go through all the information, all of the data, and bring some recommendations back to the board. And we're hoping the second meeting in September to be ready to bring something to the board.
Thank you.
Makes sense?
To reiterate the comments of the other board members, thank you all for being here. It's eye-opening to hear real experiences. We drive the road all the time. We don't live on the road, but it's very eye-opening to hear your comments. So thank you for doing that. With that, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Second.
Been moved by trustee Roman, seconded by trustee Mason. Roll call, please.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thank you all.